welcome everybody. This is Joe Wilson, and I have with me today Kristina Crowley. Did I say that right?
Yes, Crowley.
Okay, awesome. With Luxury Mortgage Corp out of New York. And Kristina is the Director of Digital Marketing and is someone I've gotten to know over the past couple of years just through LinkedIn, really, right? And the power of social media, my friends. This is awesome. This podcast, this is our very first one actually, and the name of the podcast is Mimic. And there's two reasons for Mimic. Mimic is something you want to do to mimic other people. We're going to talk about ideas specifically for mortgage marketing executives to figure out ways to connect and help each other grow in this ever-changing industry. But the mnemonic name of it, MMIC, is really what it is mortgage marketing is cool. Because it is cool, my friends. Mortgage marketing is cool, despite what your friends tell you. This is an ever-changing industry, and we're trying to have some fun with it. So, Kristina, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I love the podcast name too, Mimic. That's very creative.
We're trying. Yeah. So I wanted to start off, just kind of jump right in. And I wanted to know, what is like the number one thing mortgage marketers, so someone's a director, VP, regional marketing manager, you name it. What's the number one thing they should be doing today that they're not doing?
I think being really intentional about networking and building relationships with other like-minded professionals in the industry. It's funny because I think we all started somewhere when it comes to mortgages, whether we were originators in the past or kind of was just thrown in with a new marketing role, which is kind of like what happened with me and how I got into the industry. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But a big thing, I think it's so important to always be networking with other people, other powerful professionals in the industry, and then other people that share your same area of expertise within the mortgage world. I always want to learn more. My brain in this day and age is like a sponge. I'm absorbing all the information as possible. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're continuously connecting with other people around the industry, both within your niche and then outside of it as well.
That's awesome. Well, you definitely do a good job at that. So what are the ways that you find are best to network then? I know I see you a lot on LinkedIn, but what are some of the other ways that you find ways to network with other marketers?
So LinkedIn is really great, really powerful tool. I'm sure that's how you and I met, so really great way to be on there. I personally love joining small Facebook groups as well. There's a ton of different networking groups for marketers and all different facets of the mortgage industry as well. So taking some time to build myself on social media is huge, especially in this day and age where getting together in large crowds and gatherings isn't as prominent as it once was. It's really important to leverage certain tools on social media. And that's exactly what I've done. I've leveraged LinkedIn, which is a powerhouse of a tool for networking, and also Facebook groups.
Nice. Any Facebook groups in particular that you think would be good for someone in your same shoes at a different company might like to join?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite one is a social media managers group. It is a private group, so you kind of have to go through a bit of a vetting process to get in. There's a ton of different groups though, public ones and private ones. Sometimes the private ones are a little bit more inclusive because they share such valuable information. So that was just the one that I personally really like, but there's hundreds of them if you guys go ahead and browse through.
I love it. Yeah, and we'll put some in the links here for everyone. If you're interested, or reach out to Kristina or myself on LinkedIn. I'm sure we're happy to help and share. That's the thing, is it's always better to share what you have, because more minds that we have in this industry and sharing, the better we all become. All boats rise with the tide. So let's do it.
Yes, love it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, kind of diving a little bit deeper then. What are, in terms of like, there's always different things that we need to be doing every day. Mortgage marketers, I think, you guys are the center of everything that happens at a mortgage company. The brand, the loan officers help, you're working with compliance, you're working with sales, you're working with secondary marketing. Everybody kind of ends up touching marketing in some form or fashion. So you're a busy team, right? But what are like some of the hacks that you have? Is there anything like in particular that you feel has kind of gotten you, you've kind of either through trial and error or something that you have that is really cool you can share?
Yeah, so communication with key players is key. Kind of ties back to, networking with other individuals, getting to know every person on your team, the division that they run, and making sure that both of your expectations are set. Putting together a process in place so that there's no missing gaps of communication is really key and important, especially in the mortgage marketing world where there's a lot of things that can get slipped through the cracks. That's really important. And in terms of, marketing for loan officers, just a quick little tip that they could do just to kind of boost their presence is to leverage hashtags on all of their social media posts. Posting on LinkedIn, hashtags are a really, really powerful way to connect with other like-minded professionals. But if you are hashtagging all of your posts on, let's say, Instagram, you could really hit some potential borrowers right within your target market without even really looking for them and without spending a dime on advertising. So that kind of goes to both ways.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, two things just pulling out from what you said that I love, setting expectations. I think that is probably the number one thing that a lot of marketers miss is, because you have so much coming in and you have so many people, loan officers and division heads and everything want so much from you, but setting those proper expectations, realistic expectations internally is so huge, right? I mean, you can always push it out a little bit and then, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver is always the biggest thing, right? And the people trust you.
Learn that the hard way, yeah.
It's kind of hard sometimes though, because there's always a fire, right?
Yeah.
But hashtags, let's dive into hashtags for a minute or two, because this is a passion thing for me as well. As a loan officer, you want to do business with people in your community, right? And that's what the power of hashtags is. You become then ultimately discoverable in your town. So how do you recommend for a loan officer to, what hashtags do you typically kind of recommend them they do? Do you have any resources that you like to share with them to find relevant hashtags?
Yeah, I mean, having at least 9 hashtags for every post that you create and switch them up every time. I'd recommend, loan officers have one little batch of hashtags, maybe 5 of them that are consistent across all of their posts. And that can include everything from promoting their personal brand, hitting people within their target market and whoever is in their targeted location. And then also the other 5 hashtags or 6 or whatever to be based off of the content piece itself, to really be driving traffic in that way. So anywhere about, 9, 10 hashtags are usually good, and keeping 5 consistent across all of your posts, other 5 switching it out for each content piece. That's usually a general rule of thumb.
I love it. No, that's really good. I think, using those hashtags is so important. A resource that I found fairly recently was called hashtagstack.com. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's great. It's a free resource. It's tailored specifically for Instagram. I feel like it's better on there, because hashtags are different on each platform, right? Yeah. And they can kind of be similar, but the topic wise, but when you're looking at, hashtags for Instagram versus LinkedIn, they could be totally different.
Oh yeah.
But hashtagstack.com, you enter in a keyword. So for example, I live in Orange County, California. So I want to find people who are also in Orange County if I'm a loan officer down here because I want to do business with people in my community. Right. So I would enter in there Orange County, and it would come up with relevant hashtags that are top, and it shows you how many posts there are per hashtag and things like that. So you can find the hashtags that are relevant to your community that are discoverable, right? And you don't want to be the ones with 5 million views, right? You want the ones in, between a couple thousand to maybe a couple 100,000, because if you get into one where, let's say you only have 300 or 500 followers and you try to be discoverable in something that has 5 million, views or 5 million posts in a hashtag, you're not going to be discoverable, right? But niche down a little bit, find the town, instead of Orange County, it's Laguna Niguel or it's Mission Viejo. These are towns in the county, and or it's Mission Viejo Moms, right? That's a popular one that people are always looking at. Get into those hashtags to become discoverable in the market, in things that people are actually looking for.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Well, I'm sure you could have, but I'll take it. All right. So kind of going back, you mentioned a little bit ago that you kind of fell into the industry. Yeah. I have yet to meet somebody who grew up and said, I really want to be in mortgage.
Yeah, same.
So how did you get in this business? What kind of sick individual are you to want to come in here?
So, it was random. I probably the same way that anybody else would. I graduated college, had a really great gig right afterwards in the tech industry, actually doing marketing, specifically digital marketing in the tech field. And LinkedIn, I had a representative reached out to me and asked if I would be open to a new job role that they were trying to fill. It was all I knew about it was that it was marketing and it was based in the mortgage industry. And I was like, I have 0 mortgage experience whatsoever. And they said, don't worry about it. Let's see what we could do. And everything just kind of fell into place like that. If you were to have told me 10 years ago that my career right now would be leading marketing in the mortgage industry, I'd be like, what do you mean? I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, here we are. I couldn't be more thankful though. I've learned so much about so many different really important life lessons and life topics just by being in this industry. Met some of the most incredible people, and I'm learning a lot as I go, but I'm also able to provide so much value and knowledge to others just based off of the things that I'm really passionate about, which is social media marketing and just upping your business by using different strategies on there. So it's been a fun ride so far.
That's awesome. What was, yeah, that's cool. I hear that a lot. You know, the mortgage business, one thing that I think they do really well with is recruiters, right? And selling the vision of what this space can be. And it is dynamic. And, you know, I got into mortgages about 16 years ago, and it is a completely different industry than it was 16 years ago. And it's ever evolving. I feel like every year it gets better and better and better. And it might just be more people I'm connected with now. And it could have been great 16 years ago, and I didn't think it was. But it's wonderful. It's dynamic. There are a lot of people getting this industry with really diverse backgrounds. And it's becoming a younger, more dynamic, more nimble place to be, and a lot of upward mobility for really talented marketers like yourselves to make a name for themselves and really help to change people's lives. And that's what's really cool about it.
Totally. So, that's the most rewarding part.
Yeah, totally. So thinking back to, like, you know, you 10 years ago getting into mortgage, you know, what would you go back and say to yourself 10 years ago to help kind of accelerate that learning curve to get you more knowledgeable about mortgage or about this space in general?
I probably would have started reading 10 years ago. Now I started reading every single day about 5 years ago or so. And it's just everything from like self-help development books, nonfiction novels, fiction books, like whatever, you know, just little kinds of things. And that's a really interesting way to keep my mind stimulated and keep myself really interested in everything that's going on. So that, even though it's not really necessarily related to the mortgage industry, it's just a life hack that I picked up that's kept me really just sharp and really in tune with everything that's going on. So if there was one thing I can change, it would probably be to start reading sooner.
That's awesome. That's so good. Yeah. It changes your mindset when you're continually filling your mind with different thoughts and ideas. It allows you to open that to, you know, other ideas as well, right? It's not just limited to what you're reading. It's limited to like limitless. I guess I would say it's limitless, right? And you're more open. You reading anything good right now you want to share?
Oh gosh, I've got a couple.
Sorry to put you on the spot with that.
No, not at all. I'm actually reading Eat, Pray, Love right now, which has been really, really cool so far. I'm just started it though about like a week ago. I'm only on like chapter 3, but it's been really fun. It's a fun read. And I think that a movie's out on it also.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm reading right now. Not necessarily, you know, self-development, but prior to starting at Luxury Mortgage, I was reading Your First 90 Days. And that was a really, really great book. 10 out of 10 recommend it for anybody that's looking to really hit the ground running with their new career path. And that helped me tremendously. And, you know, switching and onboarding onto luxury. And I couldn't have been happier since. So
that's awesome. I love it. That's so cool. So what'd you say to others? Like, you know, you've got a new role. Let's say you got a new role that you're hiring for at Luxury, and you want to find somebody who is not in the mortgage space. What would you say to them to entreat them to come into our industry?
It's so dynamic, right? Like marketing in the mortgage industry is unlike marketing anywhere else because there's so many other facets that you can tap into. You can do B2C marketing where you are helping loan officers reach potential borrowers in their local market. You can do business to business marketing where you are talking to other third-party vendors and seeing how their services can benefit your brand and your company. You can do marketing content creation, which is huge nowadays. Everything from social media graphics, videos, staying in charge and top of email marketing. There's so many different things that you can do here to really express your creativity. So that's why I really love this field and marketing in this field, because there's never a dull moment, that's for sure. You're never going to be bored. And there's a million different avenues that you can take to really tap into your creative self.
That's a really good point. And I actually hadn't even thought about that. So it was really cool you did bring that up, is that it is so dynamic. There, you know, as a marketer, there's so many different routes you can go down, right? And you can get pigeonholed into one that you might like at the beginning, but then be stuck in it for your entire career.
Yeah.
And being in the mortgage space is like counterintuitive to that, right? You get thrown in, and it's like, all right, you're marketing, so you can do social media, and you can do direct mailers, and you can do B2B marketing to help with wholesale business, and it's so dynamic. There's so many different things that you can be doing, and that's cool. You picked up on that. I love it.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's been fun.
That's really cool. I love it. So thinking forward then, you talked about there's been a lot of changes in the industry in the past 10 years that you've been in here. What's something that you're looking forward to over the next 10 years that you would like to see kind of change, maybe a new innovation, new technology, or just a change in the industry that you'd like to see happen?
So I think it's really interesting, and it's going to be really interesting to see the way that artificial intelligence kind of starts to tap into our market. You see things nowadays with like Amazon Alexa and your Google Chromecast or whatever new simulation or tool that you have in your house nowadays. Like you can just say like, hey Alexa, I want to order groceries today, and groceries will show up to your door. And I feel like eventually we're going to get to a point where you can say, hey Alexa, I want to buy a new home, or hey Alexa, I want to sell my home, and be taken through the process there. So I'm really interested to see how AI is going to play a role in how this industry is going to operate. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to happen, if it's even going to happen in the future.
Yeah, I love it from a standpoint. I'm with you. I think that, big data analytics, whether it's AI or just machine learning, where I get really passionate about it is in like predictive marketing, right? Is what's the best post for a loan officer to be posting today based on their specific audience, or
that's cool.
Or what, who in this specific market is more likely to be open to purchasing or refinancing a home, right? And being able to find that data and smartly spend your time with, marketing to that specific borrower, right? I think that there's so much data out there, and it's just coming in to be able to harness all that and find the way to make that work I think you're spot on. It's exactly where I see things going.
It's so interesting though too, because you brought up a really good point about education. Like, hey Alexa, what's the best post that I can put out as a loan officer today? Or what is it that borrowers in New York City are looking for in their next loan officer? Like little things like that. It's crazy. And it's so, to your point, it's such a big world, and there's so many different avenues that it could take. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to play a role in marketing in the future.
Yeah, let's see, right? I think, I imagine you're going to be a big part of that. So
I hope so.
That's awesome. Well, any other predictions for the future on the mortgage space or marketing that you'd like to share?
I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Look at what happened over the last couple of years. I don't think anyone could have predicted the state of the world that we're in right now. So I'd be a fool to predict anything right now. But I'm just here. I'm along for the ride. I'm staying, on top of all the new trends to the best of my ability, and just looking forward to everything that's to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're about 20 minutes in, and I'm trying to keep these as short as possible because I think most people only listen for the first 2 minutes or so. So if you got to the end of this podcast by virtue of just being awesome, or maybe it's maybe mine or your parents are probably the only people that will listen this long. But if you did, and you're not one of our relatives, our first connected relatives, send me a DM and I will send you a $20 Amazon card because you did it. I can't believe it. We'll see if anyone does. Anyway, Kristina, thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing your wisdom and knowledge. I learned so much from you today, and look forward to staying connected.
Yeah, right back at you, Joe. Thank you so much. Looking forward to doing another one of these very soon.
I'm sure of it. That's awesome. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
Take care.